Am I the asshole? For not letting my neighbor borrow my car? I, 30F, recently moved to a new state over the spring, and luckily have become fairly well acquainted with some of my new neighbors. One being Jess, 36F. For some context, Jess and her husband share a car. Jess is a stay-at-home mother, and normally has their car during the day while her husband is at work. She runs errands, does pick-up drop-off for her 4-year-old that goes to pre-K. Well, recently Jess' husband was promoted at his job, and this requires him to drive to several different stores, no company vehicle. So he is using the car now. I was not aware, but apparently today was his first day in his new role, and she was without a car to get her son from school. I as well am a stay-at-home mother, but my daughter was homesick from school today with a fairly high fever. Well, Jess reached out this afternoon asking if I could give her a ride to pick up her son from school. I said I wouldn't be due to my own child being sick, and I didn't want to bring her out of the house if I didn't have to. Plus, I'm not trying to get others sick. She understood, and then followed up with asking if she could take my car since it's just sitting today. I said no. There's a few thought behind this, but ultimately it comes down to two main points. A. My car is a manual transmission. She has told me in the past that she has only driven a manual once, and it was when she was a teen. I'm not trying to have my car be her guinea pig to try and relearn a manual transmission, especially without me in the car with her. B. I'm not comfortable letting others borrow my car. It's a massive liability. She was taken back when I said no to her request. She was able to arrange a ride to go pick up her son from school. But she'll be in the same situation on Monday when her son has school again. While I feel bad for her situation of only have one car and the needs for the car changing, I don't feel like I should be responsible for supplying a second vehicle for her to use. I'm not totally opposed to helping pick up her son from school, since that seems to be when she needs the most help, but I'm not comfortable loaning my car out either. So, am I the asshole? Not the asshole at all. You need your car even if you aren't using it. What if your daughter's fever spiked suddenly and you needed to get her to the doctor? Honestly, it's good you said no because it sounds to me like she was testing the waters for future car favors from you. She managed to solve her own problem just fine without imposing on you. Maybe her husband can get her a nice, used car with his fancy promotion. Not the asshole. I don't even let my closest friends drive my car, let alone a neighbor. It's your vehicle and your discretion to choose who drives it other than yourself. Not the asshole. I tell her I'm not comfortable loaning my car because of insurance reasons, and even if that wasn't the case, you told me you can't drive a stick. Not the asshole. Your A and B reasons are exactly why lending her the car would be a bad idea. They should have planned ahead and figured something out, like getting a second car now that he has a promotion. Not A. Hard pass. It's up to them to figure this out. It's not your job to fix their problem. Not the asshole. That is a huge liability. I wouldn't let a random person borrow my car either, as it seems like it would be a nightmare if they were to get into an accident or something. Not the asshole. She and her husband need a second car. Not the asshole. This is not your issue to deal with. Not the asshole. I'd let a few of my neighbors take my truck if they needed, but I've been good friends with them for 10-20 years at this point, and we're close enough that we get together often, so they are close friends and not just acquaintances, neighbors. For insurance reasons alone, I'd say no. They probably should have figured out this issue before accepting the change in their work-life situation. Not the asshole. You don't need any specific reason to deny her request. I wouldn't let someone borrow my car either. Not the asshole. I find it odd that some people think it's normal to lend cars to friends and neighbors. I've always learned that you don't lend your car to anyone. Your reason B is more than enough. Not the arsehole. It was her responsibility to figure this out before hubby started the new routine. Not the arsehole. It sounds like they have the weekend to buy a second-hand car for her to drive. Not the arsehole. You don't need to replace your clutch. Not the arsehole. Maybe her husband can use that big promotion to buy another car. Crazy, I know, but it just might work. Not the arsehole. She asked. You said no. Case closed. Info. I feel bad for her situation of only have one car and the needs for the car changing. Why? Her situation has shit all to do with you. And I don't see anything here stopping her from just buying her own car. Not the arsehole. She knew this was coming and it seems like she didn't make any plans beyond asking for your help. I would not let someone borrow my car for multiple reasons, but yours being a stick shift would definitely make me more hesitant if she hasn't driven one in 15 years. Not the arsehole. Both of your reasons are beyond valid. Her husband got a big promotion. Time for a second car. Not the arsehole. Absolutely insane of her to ask to use your car, honestly. Even more so to get upset about it. Not the arsehole. I would let anyone use my car. Too much liability. Not the arsehole. She and her husband should have worked out Jess's and child's transportation before he started his new job. Their lack of planning is not an emergency for you. This is something Jess and her husband need to work out, and relying on you is not an option as a solution. You need your car. Not the arsehole. I don't like to let anyone drive my car. It's your car, you are not obligated to let your neighbor drive if. Plus, if you had let her, it would have opened the door to her asking you all the time. You don't need a reason. No is a complete sentence. They need a second car. Not the arsehole. Story time. I had a neighbor who I thought was a good friend. We share drop-off and pick-up for our kids. She totaled her car. I had two at the time. I let her use one of my cats for 3 months before she bought a new one. She bought her own gas, that's it. Flash forward a couple of years. My car gets totaled. She had 2 cars. I asked her, yo, borrow it for 1-2 days. She said no. Being a friend doesn't mean you have one. As someone who works in the insurance field, my answer is simple: don't. Not the arsehole. Not the arsehole. Point B is the only one you need to make and the only one that matters. Just the first sentence of it. She asked, you said no, that's the end of it. Any unhappiness is her issue, not yours. Not the arsehole. Her husband accepting this promotion notified them both that she was suddenly going to be without a vehicle. That's their problem to deal with, not yours. Your reasons are spot on, and there are many more. Lol, I drive a manual, and nobody but my ex has or wants to borrow it. Not the arsehole. I don't even let my husband drive my manual transmission car. He's totally an automatic guy. Not. In most countries, if you sit your driving test on an automatic, you get a restricted license and aren't allowed to drive a manual. There are skills involved and lack of them can cause wear and tear and risk of accidents. In the USA, most states only enforce this for 18-wheelers, and it leads to complacency among car drivers. When I sold the first car I had there, I told people if they showed up driving an automatic I would refuse a test drive. It was not the car to learn on for sure, nor were they paying driving school fees. It's taking a big risk with someone you don't know. You were right to say no, and it's a cheeky ask. Not the arsehole. Your neighbor's request is out of line. I wouldn't lend out my car. Not the arsehole. I don't know you anywhere near good enough to let you use my car, and no, you cannot grind up my transmission when you haven't driven a stick in about 20 years. No. Not now. Not tomorrow. Not next month. No. Not the arsehole. It's your car. You have the right to say no. You also have the right to not explain yourself. You aren't responsible for anyone other than yourself and your family. Don't let anyone guilt you into doing something you don't feel comfortable doing.